Hi everybody, this is Peter. Welcome to I guess part 2 of a video about Player of the Game Golf published by Downey Games. I did an original video showing some gameplay, and I think I must have mentioned the possibility of hole-by-hole play, and because the game is normally meant to be played round by round. And somebody was wondering about the hole-by-hole play, so I thought I'd go through that a little bit. There's how to play playoff holes, hole-by-hole, and there's also a way to do hole-by-hole with their match play module. So this is separate from their newly released Ryder Cup and President's Cup editions, designed specifically for match play. But I'll also cover those. Do a sample of play later in the video of that. So first we'll start off with the just how the hole-by-hole thing works in the tournament mode. As I explained in the other video, I'll just do a little bit of a recap. The normal tournament edition of the Player of the Game Golf is meant for round by round. Basically, here's a sample player card of Adam Scott from the 2010 PGA Tour. You can see that he's got he's rated for the first 2 rounds, the 3rd round, and the final round, and these are modifications to a base score. And then he's also rated on few different skills like drive, fairway, trouble, and putting. And he also has some scoring abilities on par 3s, par 4s, par 5s. And what you do is here's an example of a course card for the AT&T National Tournament, which I think was at Congressional. And you can see round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. These are the base scores. So you start with the base score 72, and then you would take the golfer's round 1 modification, which is 0, and then you would roll a 2d6 on the course card and see what happens. Say you roll a let's see, a 14, and you would look in the result column, and 14 says -1. So you would subtract 1 from his base score. So Adam Scott, starting with a base score of 72, -1 would be 71. These question mark results means if you roll on that, then you would roll the 2d6 again, and you would look in the skill column, and that would be calling on the golfer's skill. So, for instance, if you rolled a 35 on the second roll, you would look at the player's drive rating, and then you would consult a skills chart. Skills chart here. This is sort of part of it here. That's scoring. Sorry, back to the course card for a minute here. You see it says skill A and scoring A. So on this course, you're only going to be looking at the A thing. So if it calls for a skill, like the driving or putting or fairway or trouble, then you will look on the skills chart. And then if it's asking, if it calls for their scoring ability in par 3s, 4s, or 5s, you look at the scoring chart. And you look at their letter grade, and then you roll the 2d6, and then you can see the numbers there. That's the modification to their score for the round. So that's how you get a score for the round. Now, if you end up having to go, excuse me, if you end up having to go to a playoff, what happens is that you would play this hole by hole. So instead of using the course card that came with that for that course, you would consult this playoff holes card. And the other difference is that you would not look at the result column on the first roll. You would just roll once, and you would look at the skill column. And so if you roll a 21, it says fair. So you would look at the golfer's fairway rating. Adam Scott's fairway rating is a B. So then you would consult the skill chart in the B column on the skills A thing, because that course is rated an A, and then you would roll the 2d6, and then you would get a modification to his score for that hole, I think. Sorry, I just made some notes about that. Yeah, so basically, in this thing, all the playoff holes will be the same. So it's just the same as if you were using the regular course card. You would just use this particular one instead of the course card, and so it's a little bit different in the new team editions that have come out in the fall of 2016. Okay, so that's the tournament mode. So in match play mode, there's two ways you can play. There's the fast play thing, which is again one roll per round, and you have it comes with the match play fast play charts, and this is the playoff holes for a match play event. So yeah, so anyway, I'm just going to pause the video here for a second. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so with the fast play method, it's again one roll per round, and you would roll on the course card, and again you just look at the skill column, and you would get the skill that's being tested on that hole, or on the round, sorry, and then you look at the match play, the fast play chart. And so the numbers here, it's a little bit different. The number, if you get a number result, that means that's the number of holes that the golfer has won during the match. So if somebody has an A+ for that particular skill and you roll a 66, that means they've won 11 holes, for instance. There. 0 means they've won 0 holes. If you see this number here, a GV, that means that the golfer is given that many holes to the opposing golfer. So you just make a note of that, and then you would roll on the other golfer, because say you get a GV1 for one golfer and then you roll for the other golfer, you could get a GV3 for the other golfer. So the first golfer would actually have won 3 holes, whereas the second golfer would only won 1. So that means the second golfer is given 3 holes to the first golfer. So that's how the fast play works. If you're playing with the long play version of their match play thing, it's very similar to the tournament edition. Again, you ignore the result column on the course card, so you would just look at the skill column, and then you would refer to the match play skill A or skill B chart, depending on the course, if it's a skill A or score A or B. Yeah, just for example, I just want to show you here. For the John Deere Classic, which was at TPC at Deer Run, it's rated a skill B and a score B, whereas you can see Congressional is rated a skill A and a scoring A. So it's slightly different charts you're going to be looking at. Yeah, so for it's the same thing. You roll for the score on the hole. It's a par, or you have bogeys up here and birdies and eagles down here. So that's how the hole by hole mode would work if you're playing match play using their tournament edition, which is their sort of their normal edition of the game. Okay, so that's that. So I just wanted to show you that, and now I'm just going to move on to the team edition, which is they have as of this shooting of this video, which is January 2017, they've got several different Ryder Cup editions available, starting from 1971. I know that's the one we're going to be playing. I'm going to be showing you here in this video, and I know that they have the 1991 matches at Kiowa Island, I believe they have 1987 from Muirfield Village, and I forget what the other ones are, but I'm going to post it at the, on my video at the bottom, so you know which ones are available. And they have it, I think, including the 2016 Ryder Cup at Hazeltine. And they also have the 2015 President's Cup that took place in Korea in last year. So this one's a little different. Basically, here's an example of the hole card. So each hole has its own chart that you read from. It's not the same chart that you read for every hole. And unlike the tournament edition, there's no sort of question marks where you're going to be testing the golfer's skill, or there's no sort of minus single die roll, or just a plain number to modify the score, since you're playing hole by hole. So it's just basically you're going to roll, and you're going to look at the skill column and the chart column. So the skill is much like the other one, where it calls upon the golfer's skill, and the chart is a little bit different. Is that there's instead of having just an A and B chart for all the holes, each par has 4 charts. So you can see par 4A, par 4B, and then flip it over and you par 4C and par 4D. So I believe the D charts are the easiest to score better on. Yes, and if it's an A, then that's the most difficult setting for the hole. So for instance, if you look on the, this is the first hole of the Old Warson course where the 1971 Ryder Cup took place. You can see that the charts are all, you're going to be looking at either the C or the D chart for that hole, depending on the roll. So you're not going to be, that hole, the A and B charts are not, don't come into play at all. So it might be one of the easier holes on the course. Then you look at the par 3 third hole for sort of a comparison. It only has the A and B charts that you're going to be looking at. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to show you a difference between the cards between the tournament edition and these Ryder Cup editions. You can see Bubba Watson. This is from the tournament edition from the 2010 thing, and like I said, it's he's rated for driver, fairway, treble, and putting, par 3, par 4, par 5, and then he's got round modification scores. With the Ryder Cup edition, the golfer has, instead of having just four skills and 3 scoring abilities, he's actually rated for 8 skills. So there's drive has actually been broken down into distance and accuracy. Then there's a separate modification for iron, short, treble, rough, and a clutch rating and a putting rating, and then par 3, par 4, par 5. So a clutch rating is good because that comes up a lot in a typical Ryder Cup match, or to see how the golfer performs under pressure. So I'm just going to play through a couple of holes here. So this is going to do a 4-ball match between, which otherwise known as a better ball match, where all 4 players play the hole, and the lowest score for the team is the score for the hole. So, all right, so just put this over here, and all right, so start with the par 4 first hole, and Christy O'Connor from Great Britain is going to be going first, and we roll a 55. So a 55 means we're looking at his short ability, and we're looking at chart D of our par 4. So Christy O'Connor, look on his card, and his short rating is a C. So we're going to be looking at the C column on the par 4D chart. So roll a 45, and a 45 in the C column, which is this one right here, is a par. So Connor scores a par. So we go to his partner Brian Barnes, and we roll a 53, and it's going to be his distance skill. And we're again looking at the D. So Barnes, look at his distance rating is a B, so we're looking at the B column on the par 4 D chart. And 35 is also a par. Okay, so we're looking at Lee Trevino for the US. He rolls a 42, and that's also a distance, and par 4 D. And he rolled a 52. Oh, sorry, Trevino's a B for distance. And 52 is -1, so Trevino has scored a birdie on the hole. So there's no need to roll for Mason Rudolph, his partner. So the Americans win that hole, so they go 1 up. So let's go to the second hole. So the Americans now have the honor since they won the first hole. And Trevino is going to be teeing off first again. So it's a 32, and the skill is short. And Trevino's rating on short is A, and we're going to be looking at the par 4 C chart. And par 4 C chart in column A, column A is this second column here, and the roll was 36, and that's a par for Trevino. Okay, so Mason Rudolph rolled a 65. The 65 is trouble, and it's the B chart. So Rudolph's trouble rating is a B, so we're going to look at the B column on the B chart. And he rolled a 22, and it's a +1, so Rudolph makes a bogey on the second hole. Okay, so let's go to the Great Britain team. Christy O'Connor rolls a 42, and looking at his accuracy, and he's rated a B for accuracy, and we're going to be looking on the C charts. So he rolls a 13, that's not a good roll. That's a +2, so O'Connor makes a double bogey on that hole. Brian Barnes, 45, and it's looking at his par 4 skill on the C chart. So he's a C for par 4s, and he rolls a 54, which is a birdie. So the Great Britain team wins that hole, and so the match is all square. Okay, so we'll go to the third hole, and Great Britain will be hitting first, so Barnes will lead us since he's the one who got the birdie on the hole. And it's a 62, so it's the skill is putt, and Barnes is a putting B, and we're going to be looking at the A charts. So I rolled a 62 again. Maybe I didn't shake die enough. Let me do that again. 42. So sorry, that was a putting B on the A chart. Okay, so the B column, and the number is 43, and it's a par. And Christy O'Connor rolls a 13. That's also his putting. And looking at the B chart instead, his putting is a B, and on the B chart, 33 is a par. Come here. Okay, so let's see what the Americans do. Trevino will be teeing off. He rolled a 44, and it's we're going to look at the A chart, and it's the par 3 skill, and Trevino's par 3 skill is an A. So we rolled a 15, which is way up here. So it's a +1. So Trevino, even though he had an A rating, he gets a bogey on the par 3. So Mason Rudolph, we'll see if he can get a par here and have the hole, or maybe he can get a birdie. 62 is the roll, and that's the putting skill, and on the A chart. So Rudolph's putting is a C. So we look at the C column, and 34 is the roll, and that's a par. So that hole is halved, And so after 3 holes, that match is all square. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how the Ryder Cup version of the game works. It's strictly a hole-by-hole game engine, as opposed to the tournament edition where it's that's a round-by-round engine essentially. You can play hole by hole as sort of a match play in a match play format. But anyway, as you can see, it's a very easy game to learn, very easy to play, and it's fun. And you do get all the excitement of a typical Ryder Cup match. I played the first day of those matches, which were the foursomes, and I had a very interesting match between the British pair of Peter Townsend and Peter Oosterhuis, and against Arnold Palmer and Gardner Dickinson of the U.S. And Palmer and Dickinson were leading 3-up after 12 holes, and then the Great Britain team proceeded to win the next 4 holes, and so they were 1-up after 16. But then the Americans rallied and won the last 2 holes to take the match 1-up. So that was a very exciting match. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, you can just post them at the bottom. And thanks for watching.